We are pulling into Sam's Club parking lot right now, and we are about to go shopping for low-calorie, high-protein foods. I've been a coach for years. I've helped thousands of people lose weight, and oftentimes when starting your fitness journey, one of the most challenging things is keeping your calories down so you can lose body fat, while at the same time keeping your protein up around a gram per pound so you can build muscle simultaneously. If you're new to following me, we've put a lot of content out about grocery shopping on this channel, particularly around protein and high fiber foods. We also put a lot of content around how to weight train effectively, proper cardio procedures, and also all things health, ranging from PRP. I'm very open to being on testosterone replacement therapy, and I really think it's important to get your labs done at least once a year. So this channel is for real people with real lives. I'm over 40, I have a brand new baby at home, I have a loving wife, and I have a business that centers around health and fitness. Starting with beef, I love to have at least one steak a week. So let's look at two options here at Sam's Club. The first is the grass-fed, grass-finished tenderloin. This has 160 calories with 23 grams of protein. It passes our protein test. Throughout today when we're shopping, we're gonna be looking for foods that pass the protein test. You take the grams of protein, in this case 24, add a 0 to it. Does it have that many calories or less? This in fact does. This is an excellent option while on a diet. When we compare it to the sirloin steak here, this has 260 calories with 23 grams of protein. This does not pass our protein test. This doesn't mean that this is a bad food. It just means that if you're eating foods like this, as opposed to foods like the tenderloin, it's gonna be harder to keep your calories down, which is gonna allow you to lose fat, while at the same time keeping your protein up so you can build muscle. Therefore, I'm gonna select this tenderloin over this sirloin in our shopping here at Sam's Club today. Next, we're gonna pull over here, we're gonna look at some more beef, which is the second consideration I look at when buying beef. Is it actually a lean source of protein? This is 93.7 ground beef, and this has less than 4 grams of saturated fat per serving. So this not only passes our protein test, it's also a lean source of animal protein. And when you're eating a lot of animal protein, systemically, you're gonna get plenty of saturated fat in your diet. When you're dieting, you want to accentuate monounsaturated fats, examples in the corner, and you also want to accentuate omega-3s. Saturated fat's fine, but it just needs to be in moderation. Another example, there's a lean source of protein while also passing the protein test, are these 90-10 logs. At Costco, you have to go up to the butcher and ask for this. They actually have this on shelves here at Sam's Club. Out of these two, I would actually go with the 93.7 over the 90-10 because I just think it's gonna be a little bit more flavorful. But if you're looking to save money, this is 30 cents a pound cheaper. Looking now at seafood, because as I mentioned, omega-3 fatty acids, it's an example of healthy fat and we wanna have it in their diet. I eat fish at least twice a week for dinner. Example number one would be the sockeye salmon because this is wild caught and it's easy to have access to wild caught year round. When it comes to things like traditional salmon, that Atlantic salmon, it's only in season May through September. So during the summer, it's much easier to get wild caught Atlantic salmon, but for the rest of the year, you're probably going to have to suffice with sockeye. Great option, but I personally prefer the Chilean sea bass, which is also wild caught here, because I prefer the taste of sea bass over the sockeye salmon. But these are both examples that we can find in the cooler section. I'm also going to show you some freezer options of fish that are high in omega-3s. Continue with the theme of seafood because omega-3s are incredibly important to your health. We're going to look at the frozen section now, starting with ahi-ahi. This is wild caught tuna, incredibly high in omega-3s. When it comes to frozen seafood, it's always going to be cheaper simply because of distribution. It is simply easier to transport frozen fish, and therefore they're going to pass on that cost to the consumer. Another example that I like is mahi-mahi, again, because high in omega-3s, low in calories, while being high in protein. All of these seafood options, they all pass the test, and they are all high in omega-3s. And as a third frozen option here at Sam's Club, we're looking at Atlantic cod, once again wild caught, and once again passes our protein test while being high in omega fatty 3 acids. Looking next at canned seafood, we have two options of tuna here at Sam's Club. We have albacore and we have light tuna. Of the two, I would go with light tuna because light tuna has less mercury than does albacore. As I said, I have seafood at least twice a week, So when you're having a lot of seafood in your diet, you have to be mindful of metallics. It's a trade-off of omega-3s for metallics, unfortunately. And here we are at sardines, and it doesn't get much higher in omega-3s than it does sardines. I'd actually go with sardines over the tuna fish. But the number one thing is that you do incorporate seafood into your diet. Two other high protein options I like here at Sam's Club. I like the eggs because you can purchase them in bulk and therefore it's always more affordable. However, there is still an egg shortage here in New York and the truck did not deliver them today. The second are the egg whites. This isn't quite the bargain that it is at Costco. However, buying it here in Sam's Club is definitely way cheaper than traditional grocery stores. Egg whites are the ultimate example of passing the protein test because every single calorie is coming purely from protein. There are no carbohydrates or fat found in this food. So we're picking up this carton of egg whites or package of carton of egg whites or here at Sam's Club. Okay, sticking with our poultry theme, we're now looking at turkey. They have $93.7, incredible price here at Sam's Club. I like $93.7, again, that's what I purchased with my beef because it's still gonna have some moisture from the fat. So it's still gonna have taste, while at the same time, again, passing our protein test and also still being a lean source of protein. There's just enough fat that it's still palatable. Looking at chicken, we've got three options here and you can't go wrong with any of them. The first and leanest is the chicken tenderloins. However, again, because it's just such a lean source of protein, I really find that it tastes dead on the inside. It's difficult to cook with, it burns up very easily, and it's just not moist and it's not tender at all. The second is chicken breast, and depending on the dish, I'll have chicken breast, but if I'm gonna cook chicken breast, I really have to do something like put lemon on it, I have to put orange on it, I have to really go pretty heavy with the seasoning in order to enjoy it. Again, there's nothing wrong with any three of these options because they all pass the protein test and they all are examples of lean protein. But for me, I like the chicken thighs because they have the most tender taste of the three, while at the same time, again, being a lean source of protein. So for most of my cooking, we use chicken thighs, and for certain dishes when my wife is cooking, we'll have the chicken breasts because she can really doctor them up and make them taste delicious. So far in this grocery shop run, we've only looked at single ingredient foods. Now we're gonna look at some products, again, that pass the protein test. However, these aren't everyday foods. The first being Canadian bacon. Of any of the breakfast meats, this is gonna be the leanest. This is 60 calories, 10 grams of protein. It passes our protein test. However, this is an example of processed meat, and you do not want to have this in your diet each and every single day. But if I was going to have a breakfast sandwich, something with like a 6-4-7 roll or an English muffin that's high in fiber, this would be the breakfast meat that I would choose. Keeping with the theme of not everyday foods, we have Amy Lou breakfast sausages. Two issues here. The first and foremost, it narrowly misses our protein test. 120 calories, 11 grams of protein. One more gram, it would pass our protein test. That's not the major concern. The major concern is nitrates. Despite the fact that it says it has no nitrates, it uses parsley, it uses rosemary, and those actually contain naturally occurring nitrates. So you do not want to eat this every single day. We're going to look at some other convenient pre-cooked meats here at Sam's Club. We've got the Toppers chicken breast. These are a great option if you need something convenient. You want to just heat it, throw in a salad option. This is technically not processed meat. However, it can be a little rubbery. It's not as enjoyable as traditional chicken thighs or chicken breasts cooked up, but it is super convenient. So I see a time and a place for it. Along with that theme, we also have Members Mark, which is Sam's Club personal brand, and they have these pre-cooked chicken breasts. Just be warned, they can be rubbery at times. Here we go, we have Soul's Kitchen, and they have these steak fajitas, the Angus. These pass our protein test, and these never taste rubbery because they're beef. They just preserve a little better than the other two examples I just showed you. Unorthodox products here, we've got Egg Life. These actually pass the protein test. These are wraps that are made from egg whites. Traditionally, I would have clients use high fiber wraps, such as Mission Carb wraps, but these are a great way to hit your protein goal each and every single day. We're looking at protein supplements now here at Sam's Club, and they actually have an incredible selection. However, it is tucked over in the corner, so you're really gonna have to search for it. Let's look at the pre-made shakes first. They have Premier Protein. This has garnered a cult-like following because of all of the unique flavors. They also have Nuri, which is the newest of the ultra-filtrated milk. However, I don't enjoy the taste of it. It tastes a lot like Yoo-hoo, whereas Fairlife, it tastes a lot more like chocolate milk. It just has a much more rich, deep flavor. They have only what you need protein. This is plant-based protein. And in my opinion, it tastes horrible. I just don't like the taste of this. Last up, we have Core Power, which is by Fairlife. And this is a brand that I really enjoy the taste of. Be mindful, whenever you're having pre-made shakes in plastic, obviously it's going to be subject to microplastics. So if that is a major concern for you, something like Nuri or Premier Protein, those would be better options. Now, let's look at protein bars. They have Fit Crunch. In my opinion, it's not a great protein bar because it doesn't pass our protein test. And isn't the point of a protein bar to be high in protein? It also lacks fiber. So for those two reasons, I do not enjoy that protein bar. Next up, we have Pure Protein. This is a better option, still a little low in fiber, but by far a better option than Fit Crunch. But my favorite are the Quest bars because they're high in protein while passing our protein test, and they are also incredibly high in fiber. If they are too stiff of a taste for you, simply heat them up. They're gonna taste way better. Also, honorable mention, not a protein bar, but still a high protein supplement. We've got the Quest chips, which are an excellent option here. And finally, for our low calorie, high protein shopping haul here at Sam's Club, we're looking at two desserts. We have Clio, which my wife loves this brand. And then I personally enjoy these Smart Choice fudge bars. These are two awesome dessert options. Neither of these pass the protein test, but when it comes to dessert, these have great macros. Guys, if you like what you saw today, you can hit subscribe. I put out long format content each and every week at different grocery stores. I also put content around training, and I also put content around your health, things that are actually going to move the needle for you in your life. I've helped thousands of people get in the best shape of their life. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed what you watched.